I learned a lot about underground beats in the last couple of days. I want to thank Rio Leva and Nick Mirror, because on Rio Leva's live stream on Twitch, he invited me over and I want to thank him for that. We partnered up on a beat battle beat. So as you guys see, he has the Valhalla plugin. So I bought that plugin just because he used it. And I want to thank him for that because he put me on. Also, a really well done live stream, in my opinion, is Nick Mirror's Ableton stream. This thing, single-handedly, Nick Mirror made me go back and revisit Ableton 12.4 and really respect Ableton in a different way. So when you guys hear his beat, he made so many fire beats on the stream. I was like, wow. Like, he showed me a lot on this too. So I want to thank Nick Mirror. All right, so here's the beat he was making. This beat is crazy. And it just showed me, like, you know, sometimes we just have to update our sounds. The same way I was excited to update to Nexus, 5 from Nexus 4 and, the older versions of Nexus. I got to remember, I got to, update my sound libraries as well. So I went out and bought a couple kits. Let me switch over to FL Studio. So Nick Mirror was showing off this Eternal sound kit. I bought that one from Casket. And let me see what else we got. We got a couple Rio Leva kits in here. I need to go support Nick Mirror's kits. Just in general. And then there's another website, Raygen. I bought the Ultimate Stash Kit. So hopefully these are the tools we can use to make something dope. All right. And I learned techniques from Nest Acoustics for Serum 2 for more of like that rage EDM sound. So first, let's just start with that. Let's start with Serum 2. And hold on one sec, guys. Let me get rid of these background tabs. All right. I had to free up some CPU. So now we're in FL Studio. We are going to use Serum 2. Let's go to the global tab. Let's go to quality, ultra. And we're going to stick around Sawtooth for the most part. So let's create the melody and then I'll shape the tone. Okay, so let's start here. Actually, let's do E. E and F tend to be root notes in these genres because it's easy to just use a half step transition and make it still sound cohesive. So we're going to start at E and we're going to do E, G, B. That's E minor. 037 is the chord code, so 0 is your root note. Count up 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Play those notes together. You get an E minor chord. Now, if you want to do what's called an E minor 7th chord, you take what's called the 3rd and pull this up 7 more notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is how you create the 7th. Now, if you guys want that Slayer type approach, again, we did this before. We were going to do a first inversion, and then we're going to take what's called the perfect 5th and the tonic and pull it back up an octave. And that's a specific voicing. Okay, and then we can do the perfect 4th. I think wait, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a perfect 4th. Now we're going to go a perfect 5th away from the top notes, which is 7 notes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to go 10 notes up, which is a minor 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, which is the chord type we're using, minor 10th. And then from here, we could just go by ear. Okay, and then we could do what's called trecio, so it's tre, si, o, tre, si, like that. Okay, and then what we can do from here is just copy the chord. Now I'm starting off with Slayer's thing because I already know this works. We're gonna hit shift up and pull this up a whole step. Now from here, we're gonna transform this top note and let's go up. So now I'm just using my ear, but there is a science behind this. I'm just shortcutting it. And I think the 3rd chord he did was go down a half step from the tonic. And then here I'm just going to use the root note. So we're going to copy this over and then we're going to make a half step adjustment. So let's take, since all these notes are all over the place, I forgot what's what. So let's just take the bottom 2, hit shift down. So we're going to keep these the same. So again, there's no I'm just using what's called chromaticism here, going down or up a half step. Now let's work on the sound. It's a little bright, so let's give it a filter. Now this, we're going to change the chord type. All right, so I changed the chord at the end. Basically, we're just doing this by ear, you guys. I just did that by ear. We're not overly thinking stuff. You guys get the project files. Okay, so let's go to song mode, add that in. And now let's give this more of a pluck curvature. I'm going to move a little bit quicker here because Nest Acoustic teaches the fundamentals on this. I'd highly recommend you guys purchase his Serum Academy course. Let's right click here. Modulate by a curve, go to LFO bus 1, go to note on random, and that will give this attack curvature a range. We could do the same exact thing for this decay curvature. We can give it either convex or concave curvature based on random values, and it will jump around. We could have this set the envelope to control the cutoff filter, and then we can make this unipolar, which it is by default. So now we get this really expressive type of sound. Now what we're going to do is use a Nest Acoustic technique. He likes to pull his down -10 fine tune cents, and then what we're going to do is resample that waveform into oscillator B. Now I think because I added the filter, it changes the wavetable, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. Let me see. So we're just going to deal with this, but normally you wouldn't have the filter on. I don't think that will mess this up. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Let's do this again actually, y'all. All right, let's take off the filter for one, because I don't know if that influences the wavetable, but I meant to turn the phase down off of random phase. Let's do this again, resample to B, and now we have a different waveform. So basically, instead of it just being a sawtooth, we now have what it would look like if a sawtooth were moving through time, okay, as a wavetable. So we have that. So now we can use the same envelope to control the wavetable position. We're just going to do it in reverse. Wherever the pointer points to is the endpoint. Wherever the blue pointer points to is the range, the max range. So we're saying start at the beginning and then work your way to the back of the table. All right, so let's retune this back to 0. And then we could either detune these from each other. What I'm going to do though is set what's called an LFO2 on sample and hold mode. We're going to drag it over top the cutoff. The fine tune. Let's go to the matrix, make this bipolar so it goes both ways, and let's set the range for about, trying to figure out why it's different value. Oh, because we detuned it. Okay, let's pull it back to the center so I know what's what. Okay, so let's go to the matrix. So I'm going to go plus 30 cents, negative 30 cents is a range. So now it will slightly detune randomly over time, and that will create a smeary sound. Tap the filter back. This might even be a cool sound because now we're doing a parallel thing. One's the transient pluck, one's the sustained sound. Let's try that. That might be a cool sound. Let's go to multiband, turn this up. So again, Nest Acoustics changed the way I even think about effects in Serum, so I want to thank him for that. Let's add the distortion unit and tube saturation. We'll basically turn that sawtooth into more of a square. And then let's mess with this compressor here. And instead of looking at the compressor as the green and the tan part, I look at the black part now. I used to get so confused by this view, but now I don't even look at the green or the tan. I look at the black things in the middle. I think it makes sense to run the B through the filter. Now we have a living sound. It doesn't just sound very stale. We could also add the LFO over the octave. Let's do that. That's one of my favorite tools. Go to matrix. We're going to make this unipolar and set this to +2. And this creates that video game-esque sound of the underground, which is, and another thing, go to arpeggio. We're going to go to triplets, and I've noticed they like triplets in this genre, so we're going to set it to 1/12. So it's ear catching and it's different. All right, so now let's add some drums. So here's the cover art for this one. So before we add, what else do we need to add? Let's add a bass before we start adding. Actually, let me debate, because let's just do 808s. All right, let's turn the metronome on. Let's do 136. Let's find some 808s that match. Now I know for sure the Cascade Eternal kit was fire, so let's pull up these sounds. Alright, so now I'm just going to play the 808 using the root notes, and I'm jumping around chord to chord. Okay. Let's hit Shift Q to quantize. So you see how it goes doom doom. I want it to be doom 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 doom. So let's snap it to the triplets and see if that makes a difference. Now I have to Control Z that thing. So it gives you a different doom 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 doom. It just swings different. It's not quarter time timing. So again, I changed my snap to grid to 1/3 beat. Hit Shift Q to quantize just the starting points of each note. Turn the ARP down. Another thing we could do is add envelope 2 over the octave here. All right, let's get some snares in here. So now we're just creating the movement for the track, adding open hi-hats, snares, different things here. See what happens if we pull up the bass and octave controller. Oh, also I got the plugins Valhalla, Delay, and Looperator, if I didn't already mention that. Another thing I've noticed in this genre, they don't just do hi-hats all the way through. They like draw them in gaps to create little rests in between. Now I wonder how we can do this. I'm actually going to go to the piano roll for this because we're in 1/3 time and you can't draw that into the channel rack easily. So we're going to highlight these notes and hit Shift Q. So now it has that swing to it. So a very different approach than I would normally do. Now I'm just going to change out the hi-hat. I think that one's a little too dark. And then at the very end, we're going to highlight this one, drag it out with the arrows, highlight it, and go down to the ellipses at the bottom, pull this up, go to Control, go to Note Repeat, and then change this to chop the value. And also my ear likes to add little ghost notes. So I'm going to add little notes below and then turn the velocity down. Also, we need to click a note that doesn't have the note repeat so that it doesn't copy the value. Like right here, to that little stutter. So that triplet approach is what makes everything feel different, I found, in Underground in the most part. And again, we're matching the arpeggio. Static clap. Static clap on the 3 and the 7. Now I might switch it up to do 3 and 6, 3 and the 8. So if you don't know what that means, turn the metronome on and just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the 3 and the 7. Now what happens if we change it to the 3 and the 6? 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the Playboi Carti bounce. So I think that fits this vibe. On another pattern, let's do the 3 and the 8. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then on another pattern, let's do 3 and 7. So see how I'm just switching it up over time? Let's run this back. I think because everything's triplet, there's no contrast. I'm gonna try to take it off triplet for the arpeggio and see if that adds any vibe. Yeah, so I guess it just wants to be triplet. And one thing we can also do is add what's called dotted notes. So that's a nice way to like add swing to your arpeggio. So it feels a little bit different than the hi-hats. Probably we just need a different hi-hat. This hi-hat's a little too aggressive. Let's just turn it down. Let's add a couple more 808 hits in here. So I've noticed also they do the Chicago drill, doom, doom at the end. Boom, boom, like that. And then I want to ding, ding. Ding, ding. Also, you know, I've noticed a lot of guys using note slides, especially Rio. Shout out to Rio. That's also a way to create, because think about a real bass guitar, you don't go doom, 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 like you go doom, like you do stuff like that. You don't just magically appear at the next bass note. So anytime I'm going down, we're going to pitch slide down. Except for like big jumps like that. So I feel like it needs more bounce at the end. See how like when we're doing the bass, we're not just thinking of the 808s as one thing. We're doing it in multiple passes to add little details after. Let's go back to the hi-hats. Now Rio added what was it, Looperator to his hi-hats. I'm curious to see if I'm going to be using this plugin, because again, these are the guys that made me want the plugin, Rio specifically, because he popped it up during our little beat thing. And man, the website didn't sell me on it, but Rio's confidence in it sold me on it. So it just shows how important like content creators are to plugin decisions and buying decisions and stuff. Because again, the website, you would never think this sounded good because of the demos that they have on the site. All right, so anyway, let's loop this. I have no idea what it does, so don't like try to think this is a tutorial. I have no clue what this does. So just, it looks like it can do reverse hi-hats. It could slice up the hi-hats into pieces like no repeat. I assume granular, you could add a filter to stuff. So really all we're doing for the hi-hat is this like forward backward looping thing and the stuttering. So that's what I think this. Pretty cool effect. Definitely something you can't just easily do in FL. Now let's go to the Serum and let's go to Valhalla, delay. See if this adds any vibe. All right, let me find my license key, hold on guys. All right, now we got the license key. This actually sounds pretty dope. Add a little color, a little drive, a little distortion. I'm actually shocked at how good this sounds. Let's just turn down the mix level. Actually, it sounds good at 50. Let's just turn the whole sound down. It makes it instantly sound like ambient. Let's see if we can there we go. Let's switch the style just so it's not in the center. Yeah, this is definitely worth the purchase. Definitely worth the 50 bucks. All right, now let's get the leveling going. I feel like we could use some more sound effects and just more aggression on the 808. See if I can go one octave deeper. Never mind, it's too dark. All right, let's get weird with the melody. Let's add Looperator and let's add gross beat. Yeah, this is hard. Pull the wet level in. Oh, another plugin I forgot is Shaperbox. I never, shout out to Cable guys. I normally was using their like half speed plugin, but again, the younger kids put me back onto Shaperbox. I avoided it for a while because of the envelope shaping was just confusing to me, but I didn't know they had presets. So if you go to the presets, you can search by the type, and then I forgot the one I liked. Where'd he go? Oh, if you go to pitch and time, there we go. And then there we go. So here's the one I like. Now for this beat, it's a little jumpy. I like it. It's just a little jumpy. I like Looperator's random approach, or however they came up with this first preset. And maybe we can get rid of the mute just so it's not blanking out. Take out this little double filter. So I can definitely say it's really good on melodies, and as you guys saw, we used it on the rhythm. So I'm going to add that as an automation so that we can remix the melody over time. Definitely worth the purchase. Now, it's definitely a little expensive for the average person though, so I just want to warn you guys. Let's also bring in delay over time, so it's not just going the whole way through. And here I want to see what happens if we go more like one tone, monotone. So let's go to dun, dun. So now I'm switching up the rhythm a little bit so it has more of an earlier bounce. My method here is, you know, keep it monotone for the first half and then change up the notes on the second half. So it goes B, B, change, 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 B, B, change, change, like that. Kind of like this triplets. You guys made me like triplet timing. I normally avoid it, but now definitely honorable C note is definitely a person to credit for this triplet 808 style, because he used it very heavily years ago. I feel like we need something else that's moving, like maybe a lead. But let's add some sound effects in here. So I think in the Eternal drum kit, one of these, I heard a bunch. Okay, I think it's the sound effects. I think it's in his Requiem by Casket. Okay, it's called Requiem. Go to sound effects. So these stand out to my ear, so I'm gonna add these in. Hit Control L, send it to the mixer. Let's go back. It reminds me of Slime Get 'Em. So just gonna add these throughout the track to create texture. Just switching it up. So now we got those. Now let's copy these over. Another thing for the 808, let's try more of a truncated approach. So it has little stutters in between where we have gaps. We need to redo the hi-hats. I think it's just too much triplet. Like, we need something that does normal timing. Let's just try. My ear here is dun 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 like that. So let's start with this rhythm. Let's hit Alt U, chop up this note. It's another way to do chops. Let's add more open hi-hats in here. something I've seen them do a lot, which I've done myself. I wish FL just had an easy transpose button, but basically we're going to take all the tonal things and I like to group it into one pattern. This way it keeps all the old patterns. Let's hit Control G to group. And then what we're going to do is just highlight either all or whatever is used to go to the drop down. Where is it at? Go to transpose selected, and let's do minus pulls it down in semitones, positive values pull it up in semitones. So now we're playing down 3 keys from our original. Now you can also do this from the pattern picker on the left. It might be faster to just right click and transpose this way as well. It's a little bit faster of a workflow. I feel like our hi-hats just need more movement. So it's hard to hear the hi-hat right here. I don't know why. Let's run everything into the beat mix. All right, now let's continue this beat here. So it's a little too low and the 808 loses its punch because it's so low. Let's transpose this back up 3 semitones from the original. I feel like we just had the sweet spot. Let's go back to the original. All right, so now we have everything in the beat mix. Let's add the fruity wave shaper. I've also noticed instead of like R&B, which pitch bends, I meant to say, down and then up into the note, they pitch bend up. So they hit a note, then pitch up. Just the opposite of R&B. So everything's like upside down. That's why it's different. All right. So I'm going to remove the saw from the distortion only because I want to keep the saw and not distort it. It cuts through way better as a sawtooth. I'm just rebalancing. I'm deciding if I want to make those EQ moves because it does thin it out. Sorry, y'all, I took off the webcam because I have to see a text that I plan on receiving. So I can't see the text and do this at the same time. So that's why I took the webcam off. I'm just trying different distortions. I like this fall apart type of distortion where it just crumbles everything. Now I want to try this technique. I saw it with Slime Get 'em, so I'm going to try it here. We're going to slice. I'm trying to think how to do this fast. All right, so we're going to slice by the bar. And let's slice, you know, like 4-bar chunks like this, only for this section. And then we're going to combine all these patterns like this. Anything that's tonal, let's hit Control G. And then what we're going to do is transpose the key per pattern. So for pattern 8, 7, and 6, so for 8, we're going to go up 1 semitone. For 7, we're going to go up 2 semitones. This may or may not work, but let's try. And then for pattern 6, we're going to go up 3 semitones. And for pattern 5, we're going to go up 4 semitones. So he just keeps going half step by half step. And it worked for him, so let's see if it works here though. I doubt we need it, but one last thing to check is just the swing. I doubt it because we're in triplet timing mostly, so this I don't even know what it will sound like, but let's try it. I like it, but not through the whole song, so let's automate it instead. You guys can automate the swing if you didn't know. Let's turn it down. Now I can barely hear it, to be honest, but it is adding something. It's adding like a little stutter to the triplet. So the way I'm thinking of it is like a dotted eighth plus triplet combination. All right, so that's what I'm hearing. You guys will get the project files for free. And just go to busyworksbeats.com/betterbeatmaker. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and for helping me learn this genre. It is fun to learn. I will say it's probably one of the most fun things to learn is just the nuances of this underground sound. So thank you guys for being patient with me. It's Game from busyworksbeats.com. Peace out, guys.